Ladies and gentlemen, the following is scheduled for one fall. It is time for That Way Cool Wrestling Show! Hello and welcome to That Way Cool Wrestling Show. My name is Danny J, along with Mad Mark Lindsay,
hey now,
LeGrand Onslaught Jackson, and the Gemini.
Hello, ladies.
Charles Gregory.
How are you today?
my good friend Barry White, everybody. We have a great show for you
that boy
today.
good. Sexual chocolate.
Just make sure it's breaking down already in the studio. Make sure you check us out on Facebook at That Way Cool Wrestling Show, and go to the website thatwaycoolwrestlingshow.com. Under archived videos or archived shows, you can actually see all of season 1, which are all video format, and all of season 2 is there, and it's under audio format. We can be heard on Google Play Music as well as Apple Podcasts, and on the show and on the website itself. We're real excited about that, so check that out. It's really easy to listen to right in the car. Nowadays, I got Sprint, I got Unlimited. I listen to the shows right in the car. I love it. It's awesome. So
wait a second. I'm the only Mark here. You can't be a Mark for yourself.
I'm marking for myself. I got to make sure. I hear stuff that I don't catch.
Yeah, somebody told us to quiet our ringers, and then someone's ringer went off.
See, that wasn't a ringer, bro.
Wow. See how that worked out?
My bad.
We are recording live in the Canon Entertainment Studios.
Live on tape.
Live in front of a studio audience right here. Today we're going to talk about, man, this is really breaking down. We're in a minute and a half in. I don't even have a story out yet. We're going to go into the mid-card championships and the champions who held them. Everybody knows about the workhorse titles. We always say that term, the workhorse. Generally, that's associated with the Intercontinental title, with the WWF/WWE. It always was a champion that was on television. A lot of times it was your chance to see a champion defend a title on a regular basis. Other champions of this, or championships of this caliber, would have been like the NWA World Television title, United States title. See, the funny thing about an NWA, and it's always a joke and stuff like that, because it was territory oriented, a lot of their territory titles came in to play on JCP television. Mm-hmm. So you had the Mid-Atlantic Championship.
You had the national
heavyweight title, the U.S. title. You had the Central States Championship, the Western States Heritage Championship.
Only 2 of those, though.
Yeah, right.
Barry and Larry.
That was it. Look at that, how they did that, too. I don't even think they were even playing that. It was Barry and Larry.
For those of you who can't see, Charles has his hand over his
face.
Face palm.
He said, my God, what are these guys talking about? But we're going to talk about those championships today. Even the AWA, towards the end of its run, had a world television title.
Yes, Ronnie Garvin.
How about that,
Dan's
Charles?
favorite. Dan's favorite. That's what I think of Ronnie Garvin.
You know? Guys are horrible. But,
Dan,
yeah.
wipe your cheeks off, though.
You know.
So you just say Ronnie Garvin.
Ronnie Garvin.
Christmas
Ronnie.
card. Christmas card list.
Hands of Stone. So, whatever. But we're going to talk about those titles today. When you first started off, especially with television, the Intercontinental title was probably the most prominent championship that was seen on TV because of the amount of TV time the WWE had at that time, or WWF at that time. So it was one of those things where you only knew the Intercontinental title and you saw Hulk Hogan do a promo with the world title.
Yeah, Hogan was really never on TV.
He was never on TV unless it was Saturday night's main event.
This is my wheelhouse, Dan, because when you guys started watching Crockett around 84, 85, I started watching wrestling right around WrestleMania 1, but I got into it like hardcore probably late 80, like December 85. Right. So I remember watching on TV when Macho Man beat Tito Santana at the Boston Garden.
Yeah.
Doing the the belly to back into the ring. Savage had the knocked Tito in the head, fell on top. Danny Davis, I think, was a referee. 1, 2, 3.
Dangerous Danny.
Yeah, yes. So,
Dangerous Danny Davis.
So the Macho Man, and you're right. What you said is exactly right. He would defend that Intercontinental title on Superstars, and you would see people like Steve Lombardi, and he would wrestle not every week, but like enough that you saw it. And later in that year, when my boy Paul Orndorff was chasing Hogan, Savage would defend against Coco Beware, Billy Jack Haynes, any lower mid card guys. I'm sorry.
Don't forget the man that almost always won was SD Jones.
SD Jones.
Everyone loved SD Jones.
So
Man from
Everybody
Antigua.
wanted SD to win.
Everybody.
So Macho Man, so this topic is great for me because I really didn't know Macho Man before he won the title, to be honest with you. And that year of '86, when he made the Intercontinental Championship relevant to me by defending it so frequently on TV, and of course his match with Steamboat it's still talked about today as one of the best WrestleMania matches ever.
But when you talk about like the mid card, like you said, you had the Pedro Morales, dudes like that, Don Morocco, you know, and those guys, they were top talent. But even back then, it's the same thing. A lot of things guys go through now. The champion, whatever, you know, was the boy. You know, they try to make sure those guys didn't get that. I don't care what people say, get that rise, but those guys were the workhorses. Like,
Yeah.
I know Danny's gonna kill me right now, and I'm waiting for it. But you got the guys. You got like Dolph Ziggler. He's held the Miz. Those guys work every week. They put on AJ Styles. We were talking about that last
Yeah.
show. They put on a hell of a match every week, no matter what. You know,
It's almost like with guys like AJ Styles that the world title is wasted on him.
yeah.
In a sense, you know,
He
what I mean?
doesn't
Like, I
need
like
it.
seeing him with the U.S. title because, like I said, I get to see him more often. I get to see him do his thing, and he generally looks like he likes to wrestle. You know, he likes to go out there and do something. You know, but like I remember a long time ago, like going back to when you were saying about Savage being the champion, and Savage was hated for what he did to Ricky Steamboat and what he and for beating Santana, because Santana was so loved back then as the champion. He finally
Pure
got
babyface.
He finally got
yeah.
over on Greg Valentine, blah blah blah, and he had this beautiful new title because the old title was horrible. It was that green strapped.
the small one. the
Oh,
little
it was
tiny
horrible.
round.
Yeah, it was horrible.
The rodeo belt.
The rodeo belt, yeah, right. That's the one that Pat Patterson held,
Right.
right? So,
You gotta wash that thing off, but go ahead.
yes,
Oh, that ain't
it
right.
used to slide off at him.
Ain't wrong either.
Oh my God, we're not going to go there. But I remember watching a Saturday night's main event, and a newly debuted Jake the Snake Roberts was challenging Randy Macho Man Savage for the Intercontinental
Yeah, it was a heel
title.
on heel.
It was a heel
You
on
didn't
heel.
have
It was
that
the
back
first.
then,
It was
yeah.
the first time I saw heel on heel, and I felt like I had to make a decision right then and there because for some reason you always felt like you had to root for somebody, and I was a kid, and I was like, well, I really don't like Jake the Snake Roberts. He's really mean, blah, blah, blah. You know, he was mad. I'm like, so now I'm voting. And I guess maybe because Savage had Elizabeth. So she was like the endearing quality of Savage at that
Come
point.
on now. Who didn't love Liz?
Right? That's what I'm saying. So I'm like, well,
Who didn't love this?
I gotta root for Savage in this case. And because Jake Roberts came in like such a heel. He was so much the Snake. You know, that you're like, wow.
Even though he was a heel,
Yeah.
he got over.
He was
After
big
a
time.
He was a
while-
cool heel.
He was the coolest
But even
heel.
after a while, he was like a tweener. You didn't know people when he came out. You know what they were going to do. You
Right,
had
he
no
was a
clue.
tweener before tweeners were.
Tweeners.
Yeah,
Well, he
we're
was
gonna
full
coin
heel.
that phrase right now because that really wasn't.
Yeah, there's that infamous backstage story where he did a snake pit with Hulk Hogan and DDT'd Hogan on the snake pit, and the fans actually cheered for it, and they never aired it because
Oh, get out.
because Hogan was the ultimate face, and they
Right.
didn't air it because they weren't ready for a snake face turn yet. So yeah, that's one of those backstage 80s stories.
But now you switch over to the other side of the pond and you go to JCP, and although they had so many championships, I gotta honestly say that the workhorse champion was the TV title.
yeah, I would say. Yeah, see, I thought you were going to say U.S. and that would have made
U.S.
sense.
was my favorite.
Yeah,
But
well,
TV title
because
was
you like the look
workhorse.
of the U.S.
I do
title.
like the look of the U.S.
The
title. Yes.
but then you had Magnum TA who everyone knew was going to be set up for the world title run. But then you had Nikita and Nikita. I was a big fan of Nikita. I loved Nikita Koloff.
Yeah.
But I mean, looking back, he wasn't the most talented guy in the world.
Neither was
He
Hogan,
often-
but go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Neither was Hogan.
Well, Hogan
It's
had
all
the
about-
charisma.
it's
Yeah,
about
but
the
you know
look.
what though? It goes down to like
The look.
is the look.
It's the look.
And Nikita Koloff, and I met him. He's such a cool guy.
Yeah,
Such a nice-
really,
he really
yes.
is such a nice guy. He did an intro
He
for
is
our second
so
episode of
very
season
nice
1.
man.
He's a very nice man and can do that Russian accent on a dime. No, fans, he does not have a Russian accent. But
Just killing me.
Well, you know what? It was dead. Don't worry about
Mark
it.
just cried.
but the thing is, though, he overall was just such an impressive figure to watch. You know, just like in fan go back and forth about Luger. Like Luger by far was not a good worker. People say that across the board.
Ask Bruiser Brody.
You know what I mean? Just not a good worker, but people were impressed with Luger when they
But they
saw
were
Luger in
impressed
the
with him
ring.
because of
Well, his look.
that and but the way they scripted him was perfect. He
Oh,
was
yeah.
a great worker.
Oh yeah.
Remember, he came in as a Superman hero every time, the big strong guy that saved the day. And that back then, writers back then knew.
You're talking about his Florida stuff?
Yeah, everything
Yeah.
with him. Even
Yeah.
when he went to WWE, he sucked.
Yeah.
But I could slam Yokozuna. Remember, they came in with the
Yeah, yeah,
airship,
yeah.
and we
He was
all
on the
marked,
aircraft
and we
carrier.
all marked out. I know we did.
I mean, they could
Happy
only had to
Fourth
do
of
was
July, everybody.
What Mark had to go change his depends.
I mean, I think they just. I think the only thing they didn't do was because they couldn't afford it was to revive like George Washington for that.
There's something in front of them.
Make it more
You know?
patriotic. Oh my
But
god!
yeah, it was. But you understand, that's when to me the writers,
They were starting war with
the
Japan
writers
again.
were in tune with the individuals. So when we go back, Nikita Koloff,
Yes.
he could wrestle a whole match. What do we care about? What we waiting for?
Russian
Sickle.
Sickle.
That's all we're waiting
Yeah.
for, you know.
That's all I
When he
want.
threw
I
that
love it.
sickle,
Yeah, done.
You know that was a great.
and
thing
the
about
opponent
wrestling
sold
back
it like
then.
it.
oh yes, they did.
That was a great thing about wrestling back then is that you were able to get 20 matches on a card because all their matches were about 35 seconds
Yeah.
to a minute and a half. They didn't have to be 10 minutes. They didn't have to be
Yeah.
8 minutes. They didn't have to all this.
What
talking.
12 finishers?
Well,
Right.
And to bring it back on topic, Nikita was a great TV champion, but the workhorse I think that you're talking about was before him. You know, Dusty had the NWA TV title. Arn Tully had the TV title. Mike Rotundo.
Although Arn
Hold on.
owned the
Go
title.
back to Buzz Sawyer again. Go ahead.
Wasn't he national TV champion?
And wait a minute. And Thunderbolt Patterson.
Yes.
Come on, man. You know
Yes. Yes.
that's the Grand Uncle, so everyone knows.
Stop it. But you know, although Arn owned the title, quote unquote, owned the title, and I don't mean owned by like you know he was the champion, the TV title, the TV champion. I think the workhorse was Tully, by far.
Tully was a workhorse.
I think Tully was definitely a workhorse when he used to do that 20-minute. And the funny thing was, I was listening to Tony Schiavone, and they were talking about the TV championship, and they were talking about Tully Blanchard and stuff like that. And he couldn't remember. Tony Schiavone could not remember how long the championships were, like as far as and I'm sitting there screaming at my computer. I'm like, it's 20 minutes. Don't you remember this? I remember like it was yesterday. It was 20 minutes.
And it's scheduled for one fall.
20-minute time limit.
Oh, come on, guys. You let me down there
Yeah. Well.
with the one fall. Oh, I'll tell you.
So. So-
just one hit I need. That's all.
But to watch.
I'm sorry.
But to watch him, and I was thinking about this because, like, the cool thing was that anybody got a chance to work the workhorse champion. It didn't have to always be a main event match. Like, they had, if you remember, and I can't remember his last name was Jackson. He was an older white guy, salt and pepper
Mike
beard.
Jackson. Mike Jackson.
Yeah.
Right? Were the blue tights with the red stars or whatever?
Yes, he was the Georgia All-Star television champion. He was the Georgia All-Star television champion.
Wait a
He
minute.
challenged
wait,
Tully
let-
Blanchard
let
on
me cut
Saturday
you
night.
off. But Jesus Christ,
You knew
How
the-
did you remember
the tights.
Dude, it's Mike Jackson.
Yeah, he had it was
He
gray
was
on one-
bald. He was
Yeah.
bald with like gray hair.
It was a singlet. It was gray on one side, maroon on the other, and the opposite
those
colored
guys.
stars.
It's called NWA 605 on TBS, baby.
All those guys listening, if he's ever in your locker room, don't pick up the soap. You knew the color of the tights, dude.
Dude, I remember it.
I
It
remember
brought
it
back
like
to
it
my
was yesterday.
past.
I totally remember that. That's the only tights he ever.
Guess
wore.
what? I remember this one too. Hulk Hogan always wore yellow.
You know.
correction?
Okay.
Hogan didn't always wear.
No, he
yellow.
wore the white with the blue, like baby blue.
And he wore.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah,
He had
and
white.
he wore white in
Okay,
Japan.
let's go back. I'm
Go
not
ahead,
talking about
next.
dude's tights right now.
But yeah, but Mike
What color
Jackson.
tights did I wear?
But Mike Jackson, you wore
Black?
black because it was slimming.
And you came out to Heavy by Collective Soul.
Yeah.
Don't be telling me, man. I marked out for you too.
He
You
said that. He said. The funny thing was, Charles was like, "I'm the only black guy that came out to Collective Soul." I said, "White people didn't even come out to that."
I'm
So
in
what are you talking
the
about?
Wait a
stands
minute, when
watching.
you're doing a show and you got a 5'7" white guy coming out the DMX, that's how you change it up on people.
Yes, you do.
They like this, huh?
Yeah.
And I got a pop every time. Hey, look,
Yes, you
I
do.
knew what I was doing.
Yes, you did.
Hey, I came out to Mastodon.
Yeah.
So
I remember one show,
Double
hold
Dutch
on,
bus.
not to get off subject. The Grand bet me he can come out the Double Dutch bus and get away with it. And I'm calling him a liar.
And he did.
He went out the Double Dutch bus. I was on the ground.
Yes.
And he was dancing.
Yes.
Not only was I dancing, but I had the whole audience
It's
going
dancing.
along with me.
They'll do anything you want.
You can look that up one day.
They're sheep.
It's on.
I'm waiting.
They're sheep. We'll talk
Did
about
I have to
that.
buy lunch or dinner over that? Something.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Sheep. But
I love my fans.
So go ahead, Mike Jackson.
But Mike Jackson, like he was a guy who jobbed on 605, but was like the Georgia All-Star Television Champion. He was a seasoned veteran. Even back then, he was not wrestling, but you saw Nelson Royal come out a lot. He maybe wrestled once. I saw him. He was so like done. He was so retired
Right.
at that point. But because that was the days of the Bunkhouse Stampede and all that stuff.
And later you had Brad Armstrong. You know,
But-
he would always challenge
Right.
for the TV title.
He would challenge
You know
for
who
the-
else? Let me cut you off.
No.
They were all kind of forgetting here. It was Tommy Wildfire Rich.
Yeah.
Tommy Rich. Oh,
Tommy
love
Rich.
that.
Tommy
And when
Rich
Tommy
was-
Rich came in, when Tommy Rich came back in,
He was
had
the
a very
original
good run.
workhorse.
He did.
He was original
U.S.
workhorse.
title contender, right?
Yeah, he didn't hold the belt, but he was a good chaser.
Yeah.
He was a very good chaser. He
With
held,
Luger.
he was that NWA former world champions that are like, that's your prestige. And I really wanted to, when they put him together with the York Foundation and him and Ricky Morton got together, I really wanted them to have the tag titles at some point. But it gets into the mid-card titles. We talk about the television title and stuff like that. The U.S. tag title.
Yes. I wish I could have said that.
What a
'cause, yeah,
segue.
that's-
What a segue.
Midnight
See what
Express.
did there?
I mean, Midnight Express, Steiner Brothers. You just had a who's who of.
But you know what though, and tell me if you, and you're gonna laugh because who it was. Okay, but when I saw,
Here we
like, you
go.
had the Russians, they won the title in the title tournament when they brought the titles back because they had U.S. tag titles before.
He's getting ready for Barry Windham and Ron Garvin.
I am getting ready for Barry Windham and Ron Garvin. But Barry Windham and Ron Garvin come in. Ron Garvin is the Mid-Atlantic Heavyweight Champion. Here's another mid-card title. He and Barry beat the Russians, and now they're the United States Tag Team Championships. And it was one of those things where we always say we hate when they put two single guys together and make a tag team, but they worked. When you put the U.S. tag titles on them, and there wasn't like contention between the two guys, like they just came together and won. Back then it worked. Back then, and I really they looked prestigious as saying, "Oh my God, they're the United States Tag Team Champions." I used to love seeing that graphic.
Well, look what they put together.
Underneath.
Down there, actual tag was Cesaro and Sheamus.
right.
Remember?
Yeah.
It's kind of the same.
Yeah, and now you know them as a tag
Yeah.
team.
Well, Cesaro was the guy that everyone wanted to see in that world title picture,
Yes.
and to shut them up, shut the
Well,
fans
his
up.
problem was he kept getting hurt.
yeah.
Well, they did the same thing with Hugh Morris and Conan.
I wouldn't say it's the same thing.
In a way, not in the same. They're not the same
I used to love
thought
Hugh Morris.
pattern. But when you go back to WCW and they were a legit tag team,
I love horror humor.
they didn't hold the titles, but they were a legit tag team.
Right.
Hugh Morris and Conan, and they were two totally different style wrestlers. And after a while, you're like, yeah, they're a team.
Hugh Morris
Yeah.
would take
And-
your head off. I
and-
love that guy.
Like if you put me and LeGrand together, we look completely different.
You know, like,
But if you shove us down the throats of the wrestling fans enough, me and LeGrand would be a solid tag team as far as people seeing them as a team.
and the guys in the back be like,
Be laughing their
LeGrand.
asses off. They'd be like, who booked this shit?
poor
Is what they
LeGrand.
said.
Be like, must have been Smart Mark. He did it.
No,
But-
I wanted LeGrand to have a bad back from carrying your ass.
But
That's
you
all.
had guys like you had the Kansas Jayhawks who didn't hold the titles, but they were in the finals for it.
Right.
Which was Dutch Mantell and Bobby Jaggers.
Kansas City Jail.
Yes, and then you had
You had Boogie Woogie and Lasertron.
dude. You couldn't ask for a more popular tag team back then than Jimmy Valiant and Lasertron. And then here comes Lasertron with his laser tag stuff. We ran into him at a show. It was WCW, right? And I met Eddie, right? And Hector was there because Hector was like, he did commentary, did something, for the Spanish announce table or whatever. And it was one of those things where one of my friends said, "Oh my God, I used to love you as Lasertron." He was trying to be funny, right? Being a dick. And Hector goes at him, "Oh yeah, you remember when I was Lasertron?" He got all excited about it. I was like, "Oh my God!" But it was cool back then because Lasertron, it was like you were in the '80s, and you're like, "Oh my God, it's like an alien who's wrestling."
He got over.
He got over so much.
That's like that guy now that comes out. What's his name? We booked him a couple of times. He comes out looking like a transformer.
Oh God.
You know who I'm talking about. They were on our shows.
The robot guy.
The robot guy looked like a transformer.
Oh wait a minute. I do know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do. I can't think of it.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Remember he said, "Well, you should put me against a champion. Who's the champion?" I was like, "Me, and I'll beat the shit out of you, dude. I'm not doing that right there." Like that. I was like, "No."
I'm not sure this would pertain.
I can't remember his name. But
to mid-card championships, but
Well, not sure this would pertain to mid-card championship. I'm going to bring it back on topic, okay, LeGrand?
Thank you.
But one of the, in the late 80s, I'd say 87 to like 89, in WWF especially, we can give them a lot of flack.
Yeah.
There were some great tag teams. I would have loved an Intercontinental Tag Team Championship. You had the Killer Bees. You had Volkov
the Killer
Sheik.
Bees, and I say all the time, they were ahead of their time.
Jeez, let him finish a thought.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm
Thank
sorry.
you, LeGrand. You
I'm
had
sorry, because
Powers of
you got me
Pain,
excited.
British Bulldogs, Demolition, Heart Foundation, the Russians of Boris Zukov and Nikolai Volkov. You had the Brainbusters in '89. You had Strike Force. You had all these tag teams
Wait a minute, don't forget the Hollywood Blondes.
in '89 WWF. I think
That
you are
was-
wrong.
What
sir.
year was that?
Yeah, you're wrong, sir.
That was 93
93.
WCW. Thank you
Yeah.
very much. Come on, man. I'm a mark.
That's like saying Superman and Spider-Man hang
Yeah, I
together.
know you can fight.
Listen, hold that thought real
Smart
quick.
Mark will be on
I'll be
sabbatical.
with Simon.
We're going to go to commercial because I want him to finish his
I'm
thought.
digging a ditch.
We're going to go to commercial because I have something to say about what you just said there. We're going to be back right after this.
Since 1974, Cannon Entertainment has been serving the tri-state area, providing professional musical entertainment to thousands of our customers. Cannon Entertainment doesn't just play music. We are professional musical entertainers. We have personality, talent, and each DJ has a minimum of 7 years experience. We are especially trained for events like the one you're planning. We will customize your event to make it everything you want, and we'll give you our many years of experience to make it even more. Don't gamble with your affair. Be sure to choose the best. Cannon Entertainment. Check us out on the web at cannonentertainment.com. Call us now.
That's right, dial 610-449-8908. Contact Cannon Entertainment today to broadcast for your event or private party. They're right here. We're back on That Way Cool Wrestling Show. You were talking about, Mark, tag team titles, mid-card tag team titles for the WWE. Would it be safe to say, though, that the WWF, unlike all the other ones, it seemed like they were not interested in territory monitoring, so therefore they kept their stuff very simple and very isolated. Whereas JCP, because they had access to all those territories, because the NWA was so much larger than the WWF, it really was, that it was natural to have them have all these different championships in. Maybe that's probably why you did not have that, but they had such a flourish of talent. To your credit, what you're saying, that it would have been nice to see.
Well, half the time you're chasing,
Yeah.
the chasers, they make it relevant because, so and so is going to get their hands on that title. And, if you go back to that era, there are always tag team matches on
Yes.
Superstars, Wrestling Challenge, Saturday Night's Main Event. So there was room. There was and have somebody chase a secondary title. And if you're coming over if you're the Powers of Pain, let's throw that out there. You're
Right.
Warlord and Barbarian. You left the feud with the Road Warriors to make more money and go to the WWF, and you want championships. You want to go,
Yeah.
and you're not in their eyesight for a World Tag Team title run. Don't you want something to do? like, wouldn't it have been good for the just storyline reasons only? Have them chase something. Have them go for something, and I don't know.
Well, they chased the tag titles.
They did.
With Demolition.
Unsuccessfully. So
Right.
If I'll ask you. You got maybe we'll just segue this. I'm not a talent. I'm only a mark who did security. So I know that championships are overrated and they don't mean what they mean to some people, but they mean everything to others. Wouldn't you want a chance to go after something to keep your storyline focused and give you some relevance on
I think when I
TV?
first started, they put that in your head. They said I was over at Larry Sharp's and people this and that, but God, honestly, after a while, I was like,
Right.
I don't want to carry that damn thing around.
Yeah.
And half the time, I don't want to wait till the end of the show. Right? I mean, being honest, it was more for me just to go out there and put on a great match.
Right.
Some guys, it's a shame. That's all that's in their head. There's a couple people I can name, but it'll just start a big thing that, oh, I'm the champ. I'm like,
Right.
dude, you suck. Or like, they put the title on you because you sold 150 tickets. Let's not be,
Is it
and
safe
you don't
to say,
wanna
though,
say-
that the champion, or a person that wants to be the champion, it's more of an ego pad than anything else?
I think so, because there's a lot of people. I mean, there's guys that were champions just
Yeah.
because they had the license and insurance, but no names. They got
Isn't there
booked
somebody
because
that
of
was
no
a
names.
champion because he had enough money to buy the title? Or something like, or he bought something? Wasn't that somebody like that? I don't know who that person was,
My last run as a,
quote unquote.
and I'll say it because I don't mind. My last run as a champion, they made me. I was running the back room. I was booking.
Yeah,
doing the
I
show.
remember that.
I just fill in whatever, and they're like, "Oh," I'm like, "Nope." And LeGrand will tell me, he was there. I'm like, "I don't want that." "Oh, we'll do it. This short story." I'm like, "No." This went on for what? Then finally, I said, "Yeah," and then it was like, "Oh no, well, everyone likes you." Oh, like, no. I didn't want to do it. I really didn't. It's just not. I just like going out, having a match with whoever. I can wrestle whoever
Right.
and have a
right,
good
right,
time.
right.
But see-
And
Or no, go ahead, finish.
and that was the thing for me. It's like wrestling now, and I'll say it over and over, like even WWE. When you don't enjoy doing it no more, like guys like us, we can see it. The kids
Yeah.
might not, but I can see it. You can tell me you're just going through the motions. You're like, really?
But wouldn't
No.
a secondary title have helped you maybe to refocus and?
I was a champion. We were talking about this not too long ago. I did 18 years. In 18 years, I think it was 42 I held. But mostly tag team, hardcore. I did the Intercontinental thing they called it. I did one with the TV. We went in on TV. All right?
Right.
All right. Then I was a heavyweight champion. Like,
Wasn't that
it
the
was-
internet television
It
title?
was something. I remember like
It didn't
really?
make sense. It was the
didn't make
Internet
sense,
Television
but
Championship.
It's just something they threw out there, But I just love just going to shows and more or less hanging with the guys and going out there. And when you get to the back, and the guys look at you and go, "Dude, that match was great," then you're like, "Okay, I did what I was supposed to do." When your peers say it, not just because. Like I said, you got a title or whatever, or your mama bought the company, or whatever, or
Right.
it's your best friend type thing. That's how it is. But you understand? I mean, like you got some guys running around that I ain't gonna say no names. It just starts heat, but they buy companies. You buy something that's not worth the price, and all of a sudden you're the main event. We had a couple people used to talk about ECPW.
Yes.
And if I ever see him again, I'm gonna beat his ass. And he, what do they call it? No, I ain't gonna say it.
Let's not
but
get into it.
our roster. at
We're
the
off in
time-
a couple minutes. You
No,
can
our
talk about that
roster was
later.
more black. We have
Yes.
at one point. So they're like, "Oh, it's a no, it's not. It was who came, who sold tickets, who put in."
Yeah.
So to me, a title just doesn't mean. Like we're talking about the mid-card titles. Like my favorite was Pedro Morales. He was a workhorse. Don
Yes.
Morocco was a beast.
Yes.
Yes.
He was a
Yes.
beast. When you seen Don Morocco, you're like, "Oh, this is gonna be good. Somebody gonna get their ass kicked. Here come Don Morocco." He had the build. And I even said like Pat Patterson. Pat Patterson could wrestle his ass off. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Instead of
I-
watch your ass, but he could wrestle his ass off.
Yeah.
But besides,
It's horrible. That's 2017,
that's right.
man.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
There ain't nothing wrong with
But
that.
when you talk about like we got Ronnie Garvin, all those guys. Those guys were workhorses. They're the ones that carry your company.
Yes.
I know.
You know what it goes back to, but to answer your question, I think if I'm in JCP, and I'm just throwing numbers out, these are not real numbers, and I'm making $40,000 a year, and then I go to WWE and they're going to pay me $65,000 a year, and I'm just not going to have a title. That's what
You're
it comes
okay.
down to.
Yeah, you're okay.
That's what it comes down to. Because I was talking to AJ Styles one time. I met him at a signing, and it was right about when he was going to Japan and stuff like that. And he basically said, I'll go wherever I can put food on my kids' table.
You got 3 kids.
Yeah.
He said, whatever's going to happen in wrestling, it's got to be worth it, money wise. Boom.
The
that's
guys
it.
that there are guys that do it. It's a job. It's your family.
Yeah, it is a job.
It is. But some guys is all about that ego thing, and
Yes.
because
Yes.
I mean,
Some of them even have shows. That
Before we wrap this up, there's one more secondary title I love to mention.
I said I wasn't going to do that, but go ahead.
What?
No, what I just did, but go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, in Texas, Jimmy Garvin got his chance on TV
Yes.
with the Texas heavyweight title in that feud with David Von Erich.
Yes.
So, a good secondary title. Go ahead.
Very good
how about
secondary.
that?
I'll let you wrap it up, sir.
But
I'm sorry.
before we go,
Yes.
let me just, because I try not to talk too much in this one.
Why?
I don't know. I just,
But why,
at any
Grant?
rate, the thing about the workhorses, they are your day in, day out,
Yeah.
Monday through Sunday Supermen.
Yes.
You can always count on them. They're always dependable, hurt, well, whatever the case may be. You can call them up at a moment's notice. They could be in the back, not ready, and you say, look, I need you.
Yes.
And they can perform and produce and give not only what you as the promoter, you as the owner, you as the booker, whatever needs, but what the fans wanted to see. That's why you had your Ron Garvins and your Tully Blanchards and your Magnum TAs.
And even in the Indies, give a little shout out. You had your Devin Moores.
Yeah,
You had
Devin
your
Moore.
Craig Spitzes. These guys,
Oh, Spitz,
Spitz.
Blood.
dude, these
Drew
guys,
Blood,
Drew
yeah.
Blood, fucking love that little dude. Hey, Drew. But
Aramis.
Aramis. Oh,
Aramis.
man, Aramis, these guys were workhorses, and they're phenomenal.
Just a real
Phenomenal
quick thing.
wrestlers.
Aramis had the internet television title.
That's who it was.
Yeah.
And I was at ringside because I was filming. And he said, I can't wait to drop this thing. Because it was such an ugly belt. Because they used to draw on the belt. They bought another belt and they made something totally different. Oh, please stop it. But anyway.
But yeah, like I said,
What a workhorse.
You always have guys that are beyond dependable and beyond
Yes.
reliable to get what you need done. That's why when you see guys like Shawn Michaels when he was carrying the belt, when you see guys like the Honky Tonk Man when he was carrying the belt, Bret Hart, let's face it, Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard, I can go on forever with these guys' names because when they stepped through that curtain,
Yes.
everybody knew it was going to be something special.
Yes.
Whether you seen them last week, an hour beforehand, whatever the case may be, every time they stepped through, it was something special. And I appreciate and I thank them for that. As a little kid watching, I thank them for that because that's what helped me appreciate and realize what real good wrestling is.
And we all sit there. We don't want to forget about ECW guys. I'm sorry. Yeah, Mikey Whipwreck.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. What a
Yeah,
great
those
TV
dudes,
champ.
you're sitting
Yeah.
there and you're going, he's going to win, and he pulls it off. You're like, that was your hero. Get the shit kicked out of him.
Yeah.
But he was the hero.
Dudley.
But then to
Spike
drop
Dudley,
some
they were the
names real quick,
workhorses.
I just want to drop because we're going to go. I want to drop some names real quick. These are television champions across the board that were just really good. Buddy Jack Roberts, UWF TV champion. Eddie Gilbert, UWF TV champion. Terry Taylor, UWF TV champion. I thought Terry Taylor.
That's before that Red Rooster crap.
That's well before that Red Rooster crap. Exactly.
Yeah.
And
He could have been
awesome.
Mr. Perfect.
He was awesome.
He was. He really
I love
was.
Terry Taylor.
Now, someone that I wanted to see as a mid card champion and never got to see it was Raging Bull Manny Fernandez.
Dude,
I think
He had tag titles.
he had tag titles
had
a lot.
tag-
Yeah.
he
With Rhodes, with Rude. Yeah.
what could Manny Fernandez do?
Right.
What
Jimmy
could he
Garvin,
do?
I thought, should have been a TV champion. Because the TV title was, like I said, it was a workhorse, but it really propelled, especially if you were a heel. I thought it made... the cool thing about mid-card championships was that it displayed rank. And it gave you a rank purpose. Like, where do you stand in comparison to these other people? And it wasn't separated like it is today. And thankfully, The Miz is really bringing something back to the Intercontinental title. I honestly
Because
believe.
remember the Intercontinental TV, they can challenge the heavyweight champion
Yeah.
out of nowhere.
Right.
And that's how you got
because
to bring
that
back,
that
dude.
mid card
was great.
champion was a top contender for that title.
Right.
And
You
it'll
know?
get somebody over when he eventually drops it.
Yeah, I mean nowadays
Right.
you have the Intercontinental champion has someone else completely chasing him, and he's happy with that. The goal is to be the heavyweight champion. So why he's going to slap?
And the
the
last time
heavyweight
we
champion
had
about
that was when Hogan and Warrior.
Nah, we had that just recently, didn't we?
I
No.
don't think so.
Come on, Smart Mark.
You would know.
I would know, but we're running out of time.
We're
so,
running out of time.
Wouldn't it-
Hey,
We want to thank you all for listening.
I just want to say, something.
He wants to get the.
I know he's trying because you know why? He can't remember something right
Yes,
now.
oh.
I can't.
Let's get
What's
off.
going to happen? I'm going to remember when we go off air.
That's
Oh,
what's
yeah.
happening.
And then next show, guys, you'll hear something
Check us
random.
out.
It's me just killing them. Just so you know.
Hey, if you guys have a mid card champion that you guys were into or mid card title, go on That Way Cool Wrestling Show on the Facebook. Comment on there. We always like to see the comments from everybody that's on there. Share the page as well. Make sure all the wrestling fans know to go to That Way Cool Wrestling
No
Show.
one's chasing me.
And ThatWayCoolWrestlingShow.com. You can see all these episodes. Those are
Seth
right
Rollins
there.
and John Cena last year at SummerSlam. That's what it was. U.S. title, world title. Thank you very much.
Boom.
Wait a minute, no. Wait a minute, just so you know, I actually knew I was going to murder him once we went off air.
See
Oh,
that? I stalled long enough for Mark. His head's getting red because he was thinking so hard. All right, we're going to be out of here.
Should have seen him shaking.
He's shaking. I know. It's like he has he's having a fit. For Charles Gemini Gregory, LeGrand Onslaught Jackson, and my man who's going to have a coronary, Mad Mark Lindsay. My name is Danny J. Until next time, we'll see you at the matches. Goodbye, everybody.
peace.
The proceeding was produced by DJB Productions. Go to www.thatwaycoolwrestlingshow.com.